This is Discover USA Collapse, and today we need to talk about something that's hiding in plain sight inside your grocery cart. Eggs, the symbol of breakfast, the cornerstone of cheap protein, the one thing seniors, families, and even young professionals grab without thinking twice. But across America, in 18 different states, new warnings have surfaced, and they don't just hint at higher prices or small recalls. They point to contamination risks, broken supply chains, and outright deception from some of the biggest grocery names in the country. What makes this especially dangerous is that eggs are considered a safe bet food, something everyone assumes will deliver the same quality no matter where you buy them. The reality couldn't be further from the truth. Investigators have uncovered warehouses with failing refrigeration systems, shipments traced back to farms repeatedly flagged for salmonella outbreaks, and stores quietly shuffling old stock into new cartons just to keep shelves looking full. When you hear which grocery stores are involved, it won't just shake your trust in eggs. It may change how you shop altogether. Because if a product as basic as an egg can no longer be trusted, what else are these chains hiding? Stay with me as we count down 4 major grocery stores where buying eggs could be putting your health and your wallet at risk, starting with number 4. Number 4. Walmart. For decades, Walmart has been the undisputed king of American groceries, drawing in over 140 million shoppers a week with its promise of low prices and convenience. And for many households, eggs are at the heart of that promise, a staple protein that seems simple, reliable, and safe. But recent investigations have revealed a disturbing pattern that suggests Walmart's egg supply chain is far from trustworthy. Across 18 states, inspectors have uncovered systemic problems that go far beyond a single bad batch. In April 2024, a USDA audit flagged multiple Walmart distribution centers for failing to maintain consistent refrigeration in egg storage areas. Pallets of eggs were reportedly left sitting on loading docks for hours at temperatures that allow dangerous bacteria to multiply. By the time these eggs reached store shelves, they looked normal. But consumers in Arkansas, Missouri, and Texas began reporting unusually fast spoilage. Some cartons contained eggs that turned sour within days, even though expiration dates suggested 2 or 3 weeks of shelf life. Further digging revealed that several of Walmart's largest egg suppliers had already been fined for repeated salmonella-related violations. One Iowa farm, which had shipped millions of eggs through Walmart's network, had been cited twice in the last year for reusing cracked or damaged eggs by repackaging them into new cartons. Another supplier in Missouri faced federal action after investigators documented unsanitary barns where manure piled up to the rafters, a perfect breeding ground for contamination. Despite these warnings, Walmart continued sourcing from these farms because their contracts offered the lowest prices, keeping shelves full while quietly passing risk to consumers. The pricing side of this story is equally shocking. In early 2024, Walmart's egg prices rose by as much as 30% in some states, with a dozen large eggs often costing more than $4. Customers assumed this was due to inflation or supply shortages. But behind the scenes, Walmart was locking in cheaper bulk contracts with farms struggling to stay compliant with health standards. Instead of dropping unsafe suppliers, the company doubled down on them, betting that customers would continue buying eggs without asking questions. That gamble may have worked for the bottom line, but the consequences are showing up in homes. Across the country, reports filed with consumer protection agencies describe eggs with watery whites, rubbery yolks, and a foul odor well before the best buy date. Some families even reported cases of food poisoning after cooking Walmart eggs that appeared fine on the outside but carried invisible bacterial risks. Walmart's public response has done little to reassure shoppers. A corporate spokesperson issued a statement claiming all eggs meet or exceed federal safety standards, but avoided addressing the documented violations and ongoing investigations. No mention was made of the farms under scrutiny, nor of the storage lapses uncovered in multiple states. In other words, Walmart is leaning on brand trust and scale to drown out the very real red flags that consumers should know about. What's more troubling is that Walmart is often the only affordable option in many rural communities. For families, Living in food deserts, where Walmart is the only full-service grocery within miles, the choice isn't between Walmart eggs and safer eggs. It's between Walmart eggs and no eggs at all. That puts some of the nation's most vulnerable consumers directly in harm's way. This isn't just about one product. If Walmart is willing to overlook health warnings and federal fines when it comes to something as basic and essential as eggs, what corners might they be cutting in other parts of the grocery aisle? It raises the chilling possibility that the biggest retailer in America is quietly normalizing a lower standard of food safety, gambling that most customers won't notice until it's too late. And when you think about how many school breakfasts, senior meals, and family dinners start with an egg from Walmart, the scale of that gamble becomes terrifying. Number 3. Kroger. Kroger is the largest supermarket chain in the United States by revenue, with over 2,700 stores operating under banners like Ralph's, Smith's, and Fry's. For many shoppers, Kroger has always marketed itself as a family-focused store with carefully branded private label products that seem like a safer alternative to national names. But when it comes to eggs, recent warnings suggest that Kroger's practices may be putting that wholesome image ahead of actual safety. In late 2023 and early 2024, inspectors in Ohio, Kentucky, and Colorado documented repeated problems in Kroger's cold chain management. At several locations, cartons of eggs were discovered stacked in the back room at room temperature, waiting hours to be moved into refrigeration. By the time those eggs hit store shelves, the risk of bacterial growth was already present. Customers had no way to know. The packaging looked fresh, the expiration dates intact, but inside, the damage had already been done. Even more disturbing is Kroger's heavy reliance on contracted egg suppliers that have faced multiple federal citations. One supplier in Indiana, which provides millions of eggs annually to Kroger stores across the Midwest, was fined after undercover footage revealed overcrowded barns with hens suffering from untreated infections and dead birds left decomposing, near live ones. While animal welfare is often dismissed as a separate issue, the reality is that these conditions directly affect egg safety. Contaminated barns are a breeding ground for salmonella, and when combined with poor refrigeration, it creates a perfect storm for dangerous outbreaks. Yet Kroger has continued these supplier contracts and in some cases even expanded them because they guarantee a steady flow of cheap product that keeps shelves stocked across hundreds of stores. Shoppers in Tennessee and Michigan have reported eggs purchased at Kroger that spoiled unusually fast, sometimes within 5 days of purchase. Local news outlets in both states picked up on the story when families complained that entire breakfasts were ruined by eggs that cracked open to reveal a foul sulfuric odor. One retired couple from Dayton, Ohio, told reporters that after years of shopping at Kroger, they were shocked to discover that half a carton they'd bought turned bad in less than a week, even though the date was stamped for nearly 3 more weeks. Their case wasn't unique. Consumer complaints have quietly piled up on online forums and with state departments of health. At the same time, Kroger has positioned itself as a premium option compared to Walmart, charging slightly higher prices for its store brand eggs. This is where the deception cuts even deeper. In markets like Atlanta and Dallas, Kroger eggs often cost 20-40 cents more per dozen than Walmart's, giving shoppers the impression that they are paying for higher quality. But when inspectors traced the supply chains, they found that in many cases, Kroger and Walmart were sourcing from the same farms. The only difference was the branding. Shoppers thought they were paying for safer, fresher eggs, when in reality they were buying from the same troubled supply lines. Kroger's corporate response has mirrored Walmart's polished statements, insisting that all products meet strict safety standards without acknowledging the specific violations uncovered by investigators. The company highlights its animal welfare policies on its website, yet continues doing business with suppliers documented as failing those very standards. For consumers, this creates a dangerous illusion of trust. People believe that because Kroger is not the cheapest, it must be more careful. But the evidence suggests the opposite, that Kroger is leveraging its reputation to charge more for the same risky product, putting families at risk while padding its margins. What makes Kroger's case especially troubling is its reach into suburban communities, where families with young children rely on the chain for weekly groceries. These are households that cook breakfast daily, send kids to school with egg sandwiches, and believe they're choosing the safer path by avoiding discount retailers. In reality, they're unknowingly bringing home cartons that may spoil within days, or worse, carry pathogens that can lead to foodborne illness. When you step back and consider that Kroger moves hundreds of millions of eggs every year, the scale of this risk is staggering. It's not just one family's ruined breakfast. It's a silent erosion of trust in a product we all take for granted. Number 2. Target. While Target has built its reputation as the stylish alternative to big box shopping, offering neatly curated aisles and a focus on branding, recent warnings have shown that appearances can be dangerously deceiving when it comes to something as basic as eggs. Target's food section may feel cleaner and more premium than Walmart's or Kroger's, but inspectors across multiple states, including Minnesota, Illinois, and Florida, have documented troubling lapses in egg safety that undermine that carefully crafted image. At several Target stores, USDA auditors found cartons stored outside of refrigeration during stocking shifts, with employees leaving pallets on the floor for extended periods while other work was completed. In one Illinois store, cartons of eggs were discovered sitting in a hallway near a loading dock for nearly 4 hours before being placed in coolers. Eggs exposed to fluctuating temperatures like this may look perfectly fine on the shelf, but internally, the risk of bacterial growth climbs dramatically. Consumers have noticed the difference. Reports from families in Michigan and Georgia describe eggs bought at Target that spoiled within days, with some customers opening cartons to find yolks that were watery, discolored, or gave off a sharp sulfur smell. Several shoppers took to social media earlier this year to complain that their premium Good & Gather branded eggs, Target's house label, had gone bad in under a week, despite expiration dates promising freshness for weeks to come. What makes this more unsettling is that Good & Gather has been heavily marketed as a quality upgrade, with packaging and advertising emphasizing natural, farm-fresh imagery. But when investigators traced the source, many of these eggs came from the same large industrial farms supplying Kroger and Walmart, including facilities with histories of salmonella violations. Essentially, Target was repackaging the same troubled supply under a fancier label, banking on the idea that customers trust its sleek brand enough not to ask questions. The pricing practices have raised red flags as well. In metropolitan areas like Los Angeles and New York City, Target eggs often sell at a 15-25% markup compared to Walmart. Shoppers assume they're paying more for a better product, but the reality is far more cynical. Internal supply contracts, uncovered by watchdog groups, show that Target secured deals with the same large producers flagged for repeated safety violations, but repackaged those eggs under its own label at higher prices. In some cases, cartons labeled cage-free were traced back to suppliers that had been caught mixing cage-free and conventional eggs to meet quotas. The packaging promised one thing, but the farms told another story entirely. Target's public response has followed the same pattern as its competitors. Carefully worded corporate statements that emphasize consumer trust and commitment to quality, without ever addressing the specific findings of inspectors or the repeated consumer complaints. The chain points to its polished stores and curated food aisles as evidence of higher standards. But the reality is that the shine of the store environment has masked the same deep problems in the supply chain. For many middle-class families, who shop at a Target precisely because they believe it offers a safer alternative to discount grocers, this is a betrayal of trust. They aren't just paying more, they're paying more for the illusion of safety. What makes Target particularly dangerous in this story is its unique position as the family-friendly choice. Parents pushing strollers, seniors looking for convenience, and young professionals stocking up for the week all assume that the extra few dollars spent at Target guarantees peace of mind. But eggs are not fashion accessories, and branding can't change the risks of improper storage, questionable suppliers, and misleading labels. When contamination or spoilage enters the picture, the cost isn't just wasted groceries. It's the potential for illness, emergency room visits, and a loss of confidence in a brand millions thought they could trust. The sleek red bullseye may look reassuring, But behind it lies a reality no different, and in some cases worse, than the competitor's target quietly imitates. Number 1. Costco. At first glance, this might seem surprising. Costco has a cult following in the United States, celebrated for its bulk bargains, membership perks, and reputation for quality. Shoppers trust Costco so much that many consider it's safer than Walmart, Kroger, or Target. Families stock up on massive cartons of eggs, often containing 24 or even 36 at a time, under the assumption that buying in bulk equals both savings and reliability. But new warnings have shattered that assumption, revealing that Costco's egg supply chain is far from immune to the problems plaguing other grocery giants. In fact, because Costco operates on bulk purchasing contracts, when things go wrong, the scale of the risk is magnified dramatically. Instead of one bad dozen, families are potentially bringing home dozens of unsafe eggs at once. The problem begins at the farm level. Costco relies heavily on a small number of mega suppliers to keep its shelves stocked nationwide. One of those, Suppliers, based in Iowa, was recently fined after federal inspectors uncovered evidence of repeated salmonella contamination in barns housing over 1 million hens. Despite this, Costco renewed its contract because the farm guaranteed high-volume shipments at a price other retailers couldn't match. In practice, this meant millions of eggs from a farm under federal watch ended up directly in Costco stores, across more than 18 states. And unlike a single carton at Walmart or Kroger, when a Costco family pack is contaminated, the exposure isn't limited to one breakfast. It can stretch across weeks of meals, school lunches, and family gatherings. That multiplies the risk and makes recalls harder to control. Customers have begun noticing red flags. Reports filed in California, Arizona, and Nevada describe Costco eggs spoiling in half the expected time, with bulk cartons producing multiple rotten eggs scattered among good ones. One Las Vegas mother described opening a 36-count package only to find that 8 of the eggs emitted a foul odor, forcing her to throw out the entire box. Another case in Colorado involved a family of 5 who experienced severe gastrointestinal illness after consuming scrambled eggs from a Costco carton purchased just 4 days earlier. Local health authorities linked their illness to salmonella, and although the carton carried a distant expiration date, lab tests revealed bacterial growth consistent with improper storage before the eggs ever hit the shelves. Costco's sheer size makes these issues more complicated. Because the company operates with fewer suppliers, any disruption or contamination issue quickly cascades across the nation. In early 2024, a temperature control failure at one distribution hub in Texas allowed thousands of cartons to reach stores without proper refrigeration. By the time the issue was caught, eggs from the compromised lot had already been sold in multiple states, with no immediate public recall issued. Instead, Costco quietly pulled the product from shelves while continuing to sell unaffected cartons, or leaving customers unaware that they may have already taken home dangerous eggs. That silence is perhaps the most concerning aspect of Costco's handling of this crisis. Adding insult to injury, Costco markets many of its eggs as organic or cage-free, charging members a premium for what appears to be a safer, more ethical product. But investigations by watchdog groups have revealed troubling inconsistencies. Farms contracted to produce organic eggs for Costco were documented mixing conventional and organic stock, essentially diluting the supply chain and mislabeling cartons. Meanwhile, cage-free suppliers were cited for keeping hens in overcrowded barns with conditions barely different from conventional facilities. In other words, the extra dollars members pay for peace of mind may be going toward packaging and marketing, not actual improvements in quality or safety. Costco's corporate response has leaned heavily on its brand loyalty. When confronted with these findings, the company issued a vague statement emphasizing its long-standing commitment to member trust and rigorous supplier standards. But no specific mention was made of the farms under investigation, nor of the refrigeration, failures documented by inspectors. Members, many of whom pay annual fees specifically for the belief that Costco offers higher standards, are left in the dark. This is not just a food safety issue. It's a betrayal of trust on a massive scale. Because unlike Walmart or Kroger, Where shoppers can choose between several chains in town, Costco members have invested in the idea that their yearly fee guarantees a safer, better product. These warnings prove that is no longer the case. The consequences ripple beyond individual families. Bulk egg sales mean that schools, churches, and community groups often source directly from Costco for large events. When those eggs are compromised, dozens or even hundreds of people may be exposed in a single sitting. Public health officials warn that Costco's scale makes it a potential flashpoint for outbreaks, magnifying risks across communities that rely on the store as their primary supplier. And yet, because of the store's polished reputation, many members may dismiss early signs of trouble, trusting the brand image over their own senses, even when the eggs on their counter are clearly not right. The bigger picture here is chilling. Costco, like Walmart, Kroger, and Target, has shown that brand trust and polished marketing can overshadow serious lapses in food safety. And when it comes to eggs, one of the most basic, universally consumed foods in America, those lapses put millions at risk. Families who believed they were buying better at Costco may actually be exposing themselves to the same dangers found at discount retailers, but on a much larger scale. It's a reminder that no amount of branding, membership fees, or bulk bargains can replace transparency, proper oversight, and accountability in the food system. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the warnings hitting 18 states reveal something far darker than just a few bad cartons of eggs. Walmart, Kroger, Target, and even Costco, the stores Americans trust most with their daily groceries, have each been caught cutting corners, overlooking violations, and passing risky products straight to the people who depend on them. The problem isn't just salmonella, improper storage, or spoiled cartons. It's the systemic truth that these billion-dollar corporations are willing to gamble with public health in exchange for cheap contracts, glossy branding, and higher profits. Eggs are supposed to be one of the simplest foods in the American kitchen. Scrambled for a child's breakfast, boiled for a senior's lunch, baked into the cake you bring to a family gathering. They symbolize safety, routine, and nourishment. But what happens when even something this basic can't be trusted? The fallout goes beyond ruined breakfasts or wasted money. It erodes the very foundation of consumer trust, leaving families wondering if the food they bring home is truly safe. Consider the scale. Millions of eggs moving every week through these chains, reaching households from Florida to California, from Texas to Ohio. Each lapse, a pallet left unrefrigerated, a contaminated farm contract renewed, a mislabeling scheme disguised as organic, multiplies the risk exponentially. It means not just one family sick in a small town, but entire communities exposed. Outbreaks waiting to happen at schools, senior centers, and local events where bulk eggs are used to feed dozens at a time. And the corporations at the center? They respond with silence, half-truths, and marketing slogans, betting that the public will trust the brand name more than the evidence right in front of them. That silence is the most dangerous ingredient of all because it allows the cycle to continue unchecked. This isn't just about eggs. It's about the system that delivers food to every American table. If the biggest grocery stores in the nation can't guarantee the safety of something as basic and essential as eggs, what does that say about the meat, the dairy, the produce, the processed foods filling the rest of their aisles? It forces a hard question on every shopper. How much of what we're buying is truly safe, and how much is just a carefully packaged illusion? The fact that 4 of the country's largest retailers have all been implicated in the same kinds of lapses suggests the issue isn't isolated. It's systemic, woven into the very structure of modern food supply chains. So the next time you walk down the grocery aisle, staring at stacks of cartons stamped with words like farm fresh, cage-free, or organic, remember what investigators uncovered behind those labels. Remember that trust is not built by marketing, but by transparency and accountability, things these chains have consistently failed to deliver. Families deserve better than half-truths, spoiled products, and corporations more interested in protecting their margins than protecting their customers. And until that changes, the safest question you can ask may be the hardest one. If we can't trust eggs in America's biggest grocery stores, what can we trust at all?